going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got a new welder here in the shop. We're going to go over what we got right now. All right, guys, so here's what we got today. ArcCaptain reached out to me. They asked if I would want to review another welder. I agreed. I said, yeah, I would. So they sent me one of their new MIG 205 MP machines. The MP is multi-process. So we'll go ahead and start unboxing this. But before I unbox this, I do want to address one thing. The thing that allows me to be able to do things like this is my business. My business comes number one. This is not an equipment review channel. This is a real life welding business. It will always be that. I enjoy welding and fabrication. I feel like I'm good at it. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do. I didn't start doing the YouTube thing so that I could do equipment reviews, but this type of review that is on a machine that is an entry-level machine, I do think it's beneficial for those people that are wanting to get into welding and fabrication. And so that's why I do it. I do it because I feel like it is an opportunity for people to get into the trade, and it's an opportunity for you guys to learn. Don't get me wrong, it's great receiving the machines and being able to use them here in the shop, but I have machines anyway. The reason I do this is because I feel like it gives you guys an opportunity to learn and grow, and maybe someone out there will be able to purchase one of these machines and be able to start in welding and fabrication and take off from there. That's why I do it. The other thing I want to address is I can't keep making these videos if the channel doesn't continue to grow. And I can't keep taking the time to video and edit and render and post and do all those things that I have to do to post a video every week if people aren't willing to hit the subscribe button. And you know, I would understand it if it was something like I asked you to give up your firstborn child or sell your home or something like that. But really, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. That's all you have to do. So I'm just asking for that favor. Please, if you're here because you saw the video, it popped up on your feed, you clicked it because you were intrigued for some reason. If you are here and you did get something out of it, please click the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, it helps me out. And like I said, I'm not going to continue to do this if the channel's not going to continue to grow. So please do that. If you're not interested in the channel, I'm not asking you to click the subscribe button if you're not interested. Obviously, if you're not interested, I don't want you to waste your time watching my channel. But if you are here and you do find interest in the channel, please subscribe. I appreciate it. And now we'll move on to the unboxing of the welder. All right, so let's go ahead and unbox this. Okay, so let's just go through this real quick and we'll show you guys what this welder comes with if you do order the MIG 205 MP. You've obviously got the machine. This is one of their new Pro line welders, I believe. Okay, first thing we have is our MIG gun. I believe this is our cutting torch. TIG torch. I lied. Here's a plasma torch. Well, what's this first one? I'll get back to you on this one. I don't even know what this is. Ground cable, stinger lead for stick welding, a gas hose. This is one of the things that I'm most excited about this machine. It comes with a cover. I've got welding machines back here that have costed me thousands and thousands of dollars that don't come with a cover. And quite frankly, I think it's ridiculous. You spend that kind of money on a machine, you would think that they would send a cover so that you could keep it nice, keep the dust off of it. I'm constantly having to blow off my machine with air and wipe it down to keep it nice. And you guys know I'm a little anal with my equipment, but that's what's required when you don't have a cover. And you can get a cover, but they want to charge you another couple $100 to buy a cover. So I do think it's really cool that they include the cover. There is a bag here that comes with rollers, a couple welding tips, a spare plug, looks like a foot pedal plug, 2 pieces of 2% lanthanated tungsten, looks like 16th and 332, some stickers. You got your adapter plug to go from 240 to 110 or vice versa. And then I'm assuming this is probably our regulator. So we do have a regulator that comes with it. So it's pretty cool that it comes with all this stuff. I'll put a link in the description for this machine and this setup. I will also put a picture up right now showing you guys which machine this is on their website and what the price point is. You can get a discount if you use the discount code FREEDOM, and I'll put that on the screen as well. So I'll go ahead and get this plugged in. I'm gonna start with 240. I'll get it plugged in, turned on, and to start out, I'll go ahead and get it powered up and then we'll go through all the different modes on the 205 MP. All right, guys, so here's the deal. I got the TIG torch all hooked up, and I brought you in up close here because I want to show you guys what the interface looks like on this. I'm continually blown away at how many features they're able to put on a machine like this in a package this small for this price point. They're honestly giving anybody the opportunity to start learning about fabrication by being able to purchase a machine like this. Just right off the bat, let's go through the different modes that it has. So it's got MIG, MIG aluminum with a spool gun, high frequency TIG, lift arc TIG, cut, so this one does plasma. It's got cleaning. That's what this weird little torch is. I'll show you guys after, but it's got a cleaning mode. We'll go over that when we get to that point. And then it has mixed martial arts, and then it has stick mode. So that's 7 different modes on this little teeny machine. And I'll be honest with you, it weighs maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 pounds. It's got a regulator on top of the machine here. My ground lead is hooked to the positive DINS connector. If I take this connector and I try to hook it into the wrong place, I'll let you listen to this. The light doesn't go green anymore. I believe it goes yellow, and then you'll hear a British woman talk to you.
Please pull out the adapter.
Please pull out the adapter. So for somebody that's new, that's trying to learn how to figure out how to hook up different processes, I think this is a really good option for them. It's got rollers here so that you can adjust your voltage and amperage. She keeps saying that she saved the parameters, so I know that you can save, I believe it's 10 different parameters on the machine, which is kind of cool. My Dynasty does that, and it's very handy. I like being able to just hurry and go into my parameters and select the one I need, hook up the torch that I need, and just go. So now that we're hooked up, I've got my post flow set to 5 seconds. We're running it on high frequency mode, high frequency TIG mode, and I've got it set to
press and hold the knob to unlock.
Press and hold the knob to unlock. What knob?
Press and hold the knob to unlock. Panel unlocked.
Okay, so I unlocked the panel. So now I'm going to go through. Whoops. Okay, so we're on high frequency. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 2T. Okay, so we're on 2T. I believe that's DC.
Parameter saved.
We've got our gas hose hooked up right here. There's a solenoid valve inside the machine, so that's nice. I like that on this machine you hook up your gas hose for your torch on the front of the machine, and I've got my hose to my bottle hooked up on the back. That just helps keep things from getting tangled. Okay, so now that we're hooked up, The light's green. I do have my torch set up here with a Furic cup. I don't really like those long cups that it comes with. If you do run a Furic cup on this style of torch, you'll want to get the adapter. So you will have to have the adapter to be able to run these cups with this torch. And I just so happen to have those, so I'm running it. This is a number 8 Furic cup. It's got a gas lens. I am using the ArcCaptain 332 tungsten, sharpened to a point. So we'll go ahead and we'll set up. I'll show you guys what we're going to be working on. All right, so here's what we're going to be working on. I've got this T-handle here for the weld positioner. The other night when Bridger was welding with it, he dropped it out of the machine, it hit the floor, and busted the little square key on the end. So it snapped off. We were able to find it. So we are going to take this and we're going to TIG weld it back on. I am going to put a small bevel on this, and then once I get this beveled and ready to go, we'll put it back on and we'll use this new machine to TIG weld it up. Once we get that done, I've got a project I got to get done in the shop tonight. It's aluminum, so we're going to hook up our spool gun aluminum to the machine and we're going to use it to do an actual project. This is pretty much the way I roll. I've got to use the machine to help me get projects out the door. So I'll try to do a little bit of video on each mode on this machine so that you can see what it's capable of. But to be honest, I've got all kinds of crap that I got to get out the door. So we're just going to use this machine to help me get it done and out the door. So we'll start with fixing the key for the weld positioner. Once we get that done, we'll bounce over to our aluminum project, and that's a pretty big one. So we'll get the spool gun set up with this, and I'm interested to see how it does. I kind of like the trigger. I'm hoping that it will do variable amperage, but I don't know that yet. So let's see what happens. Son of a gun. It's a pretty crisp start, really. So the British woman just said something to me. I couldn't hear really what she said. Said something about my TIG torch, so I don't know. I'm gonna try this. God, it's actually a pretty dang smooth arc. I'm kind of impressed. I'll go ahead and hit this with a wire brush and I'll give you guys a look. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. Just weld it up all 4 sides. So pretty impressed. So that's going to be our demo on TIG for this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get it switched over to spool gun aluminum, and we're going to start tearing into this project. So we'll go to that point. All right, guys, I want to give you a quick update here. So we've got our machine switched over to our spool gun here for aluminum. I did have to switch where the gas inlet is on the back. There's 2 ports. There's a MIG port and a cut TIG port. So I had to switch it over to my MIG port, and then I've screwed in my spool gun into the regular MIG gun port. I've got my positive DINS connector hooked into the positive outlet, and then my negative ground clamp DINS connector hooked into the negative outlet. So we should be ready to go. I've got it switched over to MIG spool gun on the machine here. One of the upgrades that they are starting to make, and I think it's this way on all their new machines, is they are putting inches on here. So for those of us in America that use the standard system, now you can look at this chart and be able to have standard settings on the machine. So that is very helpful. So what I've done is I've looked at my chart. The settings that it gave me was 560 inches per minute and 18 volts. I do have a T-joint here that I've ran a couple test welds on but I'm going to use this so I can just run a test with this spool gun and get it dialed before I use it on this project. So we'll run this and see how it goes. I do have my argon hooked up. I'm running it about 25 CFH. Let's see how it goes. I'd say it looks pretty good. So another update for you guys. When I was unboxing the machine, inside this package, there was a plug. And I said, it looks like they included a spare plug. It's not a spare plug. So what it's for is the plug that was previously on the spool gun was for the old style, and I'm assuming they've switched over to this style, and that's what the plug was for. So I did have to stop, cut the old plug off, and then I did have to solder on the new plug. It's not terribly hard. It's 2 wires. I put the red wire in number 1 slot and blue in number 2. Red number 1, blue number 2. So I just soldered the new plug on, hooked everything back up, and it's obviously running the way it's supposed to. So that's why they include the plug, I think. It worked for me, so hopefully I'm not wrong on that. All right, so this machine is actually running it pretty good. So that right there is where my triple pass is with my spool gun. This is the weld that I had going, and I had it going pretty good, and then you can see hot, and then you can see where I right there. So it was running pretty good until the part slid on me. So I think we're good there. I like the way it's running. So now that we've tested it out, I feel comfortable with it. I'm gonna go ahead and get my parts up here. I gotta go unstrap some aluminum off the trailer. I'm gonna get it in here, start cutting my parts. Once I get back in here with my material, get the parts cut, and I'm ready to weld this out, we'll show you guys how this baby performs. All right guys, so here's the deal. I've got my channel cut here. No, this is 2-inch channel with 1-inch leg on it. It's 1/8 inch thick. The first one I got clamped down here, and it's all laid out. So I'm gonna go ahead, get some tacks on this side, and I'll probably actually just weld this side out. I don't want to fit this other side because it's still a little bit off the table. So the story behind this is from an airport, and it goes over a valve station that's in the ground, and a contractor that was doing some work nearby drove over this hatch and it caved it in. I'll show you guys a picture right now of what it looked like when I got it. It was pretty bad. So I cut all the bracing, all the ribs underneath. It was just flat bar, but I cut all those off, and then I actually put it in my press brake and had to sit and work it for a couple hours to get it to where it is now. It's not perfect, but that's just what you get when you have to try to bend something back like this, especially aluminum. It can be tricky. So I gave the customer 2 options. I could either rebuild this one and bend it back, or I could rebuild it. They chose this option, so that's what we're going with. So I really wish I had a fixture table right now, because I could clamp all the way around it and even out in the middle of it in a few places to get it perfectly flat on the table, and then just weld the whole thing out. I can't do that, so what I'm gonna do, I could tack some clamps to the table and clamp it here, but I think what I'm gonna do, this side is perfect. It's nice and flat against the table. This is where I want it. So I'm gonna go through and tack this whole thing, and then I'll probably just run the welds on this brace, and then I'll flip it 180, and I'll fit this piece, run the clamps down it, tack it, weld it, and then I've got 2 supports that go in the middle here. I'm gonna do it that way because, for one, I don't have a fixture table. For 2, I think that these, once I get them welded on, they're definitely gonna help hold it where it needs to go. The other thing I'm gonna do is, after I weld this out, I'm gonna let it cool. So I'm gonna leave it on the table until it cools. So I'm gonna go ahead and start tacking this with our spool gun, running our ArcCaptain 205 MP. I feel like it needs to be hotter. I like it a little hotter. I'm gonna run it up to 20, see how that feels. It's running pretty good so far. These ends, I do have probably 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of a gap. I'm just triggering it, and it's actually working pretty well. Got to make sure you keep this nozzle and tip clean, because they get gummed up pretty quick with this aluminum. And I've noticed over the course of using this spool gun, if you don't, it'll give you issues. Okay, so that baby is welded out. Now I haven't cleaned this up yet. Obviously I'm getting some little bit of spatter. It's not dialed in perfect, but it's honestly running not too shabby. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. Not terrible. Had a rough start on that one. And then these welds on the inside look pretty good as well. So, pretty happy with that. I am going to get the settings dialed in a little better. I like it a little bit more like spray transfer. I'm getting a little more crackle in this, so I just need to play with it a little bit, see if I can get it dialed. Alright, so I'm going to take some more time, get this piece fit up and ready to weld. Once I get it ready to weld, and this is cool, we'll flip it around and I'll get it all fit up and ready to go, and then I'll come back and give you guys a look. Alright, what's up guys? We're back at this tonight. I've got this piece here cut and we're ready to start fitting it. I've flipped my part 180 degrees, got it clamped down to the table. Looks pretty good. This piece, this side of the door stayed really flat. It didn't move hardly at all when I unclamped it from the table. So, feeling pretty good about it so far. We'll go ahead and we'll start tacking this piece and getting it fit up and stitch pattern laid out. We'll weld this out, and then we've got a cross member here and here that's going to go in, and we'll have to cope these so that it can slide inside this channel, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to do that. But we'll go ahead and get this fit up right now. Going to power up the ArcCaptain here. I'm just looking up some settings here, and I'm going to try some of these settings and see if they run a little bit better. We're going to go up to 23 volts and drop down our wire feed speed to 450. So we're 450 on our wire speed and 23 volts on our voltage. So I just want to give it a try, see how it runs. The settings I was using before I didn't quite like. I mean, it was running okay, but typically I like it running like spray transfer, and it's more of a hum, and that was too crackly. So I'm just going to give this a try and see how it runs. But when you weld, it's important that you use a ground for the welding process. Oh, that's more like it. Sounds a lot better. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just more of a hum. It's not really crackling. Woo. Oh, that's going to be a lot better. I can feel it. So now that I've got my ends tacked up, I'm going to go ahead and lay out my stitch pattern here. The other good thing about getting that welder dialed in, the spool gun, I've got all kinds of spatter over here that I got to clean up. I'm not getting that now. So that's another indication that it's adjusted properly. So this top piece is 1/4 inch aluminum diamond plate. This channel is 1/8 inch channel on the wall thickness, so it's pretty heavy material. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, lay my stitch pattern out. When I get that all laid out and we're ready to weld it up, we'll come back to you. Should be all fit up there. We're gonna run one and see how it goes. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Let's run one on this inside joint. The only issue I've had with this spool gun is the tips get fairly dirty. So you got to make sure you keep your nozzle clean and keep that tip clean. It'll get some buildup on there, but you got to make sure you keep knocking that spatter off there. Keep it clean and then it runs okay. So I do wonder how long the welder will run on this type of heat. We'll see. It is on 240, so seems to be doing good. I believe it gave me a message last night just when I was finishing up that the welder was hot, and so I just stopped and let it cool down, and then it was good. So at least it lets you know so it doesn't burn itself up. All right, guys, we're moving on to the next one. So I've got my stick lead hooked up here. We connected our stinger to the positive DINS outlet here. Got our ground cable hooked up to the negative. We're going to be running some 332 7018. So let's go ahead and fire up the welder here. We'll get it changed over to stick. So it looks like on 240, I can go clear up to 205 amps on stick, which is honestly probably more than you're ever going to need, which is good because that means it should run 1/8 inch or 532, pretty much anything you'd need, especially for general purpose stuff. This machine's probably going to run it. So I'm going to start, since I'm running 332, I'm going to start on 90 amps. So I've got a couple pieces of scrap here. I'm going to go ahead and get these tacked up and we'll weld them out. Be running the pancake today. It's been sitting a while. I need to give it a charge, so we're going to be running the pancake hood today. I'm going to go ahead and tack these two pieces of scrap I got so we can run a T-joint. Alright, so I've got my T-joint all tacked up. Let's go ahead and see what this thing will do and stick. Okay, seems like the arc runs pretty smooth. Okay, pretty happy with how that looks. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to turn this up to 120 amps. And I'm going to grab some 1/8 inch 7018. Let's run it. ran pretty dang smooth. Okay, give you guys a look. All right guys, so there's our 1/8 inch 332. Also turned out pretty good. Okay, pretty happy with the stick. So now that we've tried out our stick function, we're gonna bounce right over to MIG. So I'm gonna get this set up on MIG, and then we'll come back and I'll run a T-joint with MIG. Let me get the welder all set up and I'll come back to you. All right guys, on to the next one. So we've got our solid wire into the welder here. This is one of those 12.5 pound spools from Home Depot. This is Lincoln solid wire 035. We do have our groove roller in for 035 wire. I did check my chart and I'm just going off of what their settings are. So it's 19.7 volts and 360 inches a minute. We're gonna try it, see how it goes. I'm actually really liking the way the menu works. You're able to just hit the mode button and jog through all 7 of the modes, and when you get to the mode, if you don't have the DINS connectors hooked up right, it doesn't have the green light on, it's extremely easy and intuitive for somebody who's beginning to learn to use. I'm actually really impressed, and I know I've said this before, but for this price point, for all you're getting out of this package, it's pretty impressive. We're gonna go ahead and run this solid wire and see how she runs. Okay, that's cool. If you hold the trigger down, it's got a wire feed mode, so it's feeding the wire right now, and it kicks up the speed. The gun is quite a bit different, and it is an upgrade. This is actually threaded where the nozzle is. I like that. There is a wrench in the bag that you can use for this, but I'm always packing a leather in, so I'm just used to that. And then I always like to have a pair of welpers so that I can trim my wire when I'm running solid wire especially. Okay, let's tack this up, see how it goes. Okay, so I think for every mode you run, you've got to set what you want the trigger. And there's 2T, 4T, and spot on MIG. So I went ahead and set it to 2T because that's what I like to run. So let's run another one on the back side here. I was kind of pushing away from me like this on that one. On this one, I want to pull back towards me. Another couple upgrades that I like for the MIG gun. There's like a ball socket on the connection where the gun hooks to the whip. And there's also a ball socket right here where it hooks to the machine. I really like that. That should help the longevity of the MIG gun. Because usually if you end up having shorts, it's either here at the machine or here at the gun. So pretty happy with that so far. So I'll show you these 2 welds here. All right, so there's pushing away from me. Pretty happy with that. And there's pulling back towards me. Pretty happy with that as well. All right guys, we're on to the next one. I got my plasma torch hooked in here, but I do want to show you, I did have to make a hose so that I could run the air through the welder. So what I did is I just took a regular gas hose for your TIG machine, because that's what the fitting on the back of the machine is. So I took that fitting, which the gas hose that comes with it, this is the fitting I'm talking about. It's just your standard gas hose fitting. I had a spare hose in my drawer that already had one end cut off. So I took that. I took a brass barbed 3/8 MIP fitting, shoved that in there, and then I put a hose clamp on it. And then I screwed in my 3/8 male compression fitting in there. That way I'm able to hook the compressed air in and it runs through the machine. I've adjusted my regulator I'm running it at 70 psi. I've got my amperage set to 30, and so let's give this a try. I've got 3 different sizes of material here to try. I'm going to cut some of this off, this 1/8 inch material, and then I've got 1/4 inch material, and then I've got 3/8 material. On 240, this will go all the way up to 50 amps. So let's start with our 1/8 inch and see how it goes. So for freehand, I mean, it cut through there good. It does take a cute little electrode and nozzle inside here. It does come with a spare one in the bag that comes with the torch. So 1/8 inch ran pretty good. We're going to turn this up to 40. Okay, so we'll turn it up to 40 amps and we'll try cutting 1/4 and see how it goes. It did good, it cut through it. We're gonna go up to 50, and then we're gonna cut some 3/8. If this machine will cut 3/8, this is gonna do probably 99% of the work you need to do. So that's pretty cool. So let's see if it'll cut this 3/8 on 50 amps. Boom. There is a little bit of kerf, but it's doing it. My travel speed isn't extremely slow. It's not extremely fast, but it is able to cut it off. So if you have something that you need to cut off, like I said, I think this is going to do the majority of the work you need. If you're looking for a machine to get into fabrication where you can do some cutting, some TIG welding, some stick welding, some MIG welding, God, this is honestly a great machine to get you started. To be honest, my ArcCaptain MIG 200 has welded hundreds of feet of handrail. All right, guys, so let's wrap this up real quick. So there is one other thing I want to go over with you guys before I talk about my opinion of the ArcCaptain 205 MP. So for those of you who stuck around till the end of the video, there is one other thing, one other little bit of information that I want to give you, and I think it'll help a few of you people out. ArcCaptain, a month or 2 ago, they sent me a TIG 205P. I was going to review that machine, and I was in the process of making a video. Well, what had happened was I had plugged in the machine on 110, and I was welding with it on 110, 110 volts. And then I went to switch from 110 to 240 to compare the 2 voltages and what the machine was capable of. When I did that, I did not give the machine enough time to shut down. With these inverter machines, these new inverter machines that are smaller, you have to give the machine time to shut down. If you don't give it enough time and then you plug it into a higher voltage or a different voltage, you can blow up the machine. Well, guess what? That's exactly what I did. If you guys watch the channel, you know that I'm an open book. I'm going to share with you guys all my flaws and mistakes and all those things that come along with owning a business and running a YouTube channel. So I blew up the welder. Well, when I blew up the welder, I reached out to ArcCaptain. I told them what happened, and they said, well, we apologize for not making it more clear that you needed to wait longer before you switch from voltages. And I was like, well, that was my fault. I know that you're supposed to do that. I just didn't. I was talking to Bridger in the process and got distracted, and I just didn't give it enough time. The reason I'm sharing this with you guys is so that if you're jumping from 110 to 240, you need to be aware that you have to give the machine time to shut down. As long as you do that, you'll be fine. But you just need to make sure that you give the machine proper time to shut down before you switch voltages. So let's take a look at the video.
What did you say? I asked her if she had the What'd she say?
Okay, so hopefully you guys can get something out of that. Hopefully that keeps somebody out there safe, and you understand that there are some procedures that come with running an inverter machine. You need to make sure you give them time to shut down when you switch voltages. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully that keeps somebody else from blowing up their machine. I do want to voice my opinion about this machine. I think it's extremely versatile. The fact that you're able to run 7 different processes on one machine of this size that only weighs 20 pounds, and it comes with your ground lead, your stinger, your gas hose, your MIG gun, your TIG torch, your plasma torch, and then we didn't even get into the whatever that cleaning brush is. I'll do a separate video with that, but I did want to cover all the welding processes and the cutting torch on this one. And we still didn't even cover flux core. So I'll do some more video of this machine in the future, but I'm extremely impressed. And like I said before, if you're looking to get into fabrication, this is an opportunity for you. So I think it's really cool what they're doing. I think it's cool that they're making adjustments to their product to make it better. And I do feel like they're listening to their customers and they're fixing a lot of the things that people are complaining about, such as the chart on the inside. This chart was really easy to use because now it has standard on it. It's not just metric. I appreciate that. I think it's cool that they're making modifications to like their MIG gun. The MIG gun on this machine is more impressive. It's a better MIG gun than was on the MiG 200. If I was to throw out a suggestion to ArcCaptain, I would say I think the cover is awesome. It's great. But if they were to put out a kit like Miller does with their Max Star, to where the machine and your torch lead, your gas hose, your regulator, all those things can be in one little box, I think that would be awesome. And I think it would make their product extremely competitive. Then if you're somebody that needs to do work in the field, it's nice to be able to just pick up that box, throw it in your truck, throw a gas bottle in and go. And to be honest, I do that a lot with my Max Star because it's in one package. Everything that they include comes in one package. If I was to throw out a suggestion to ArcCaptain, that would be it. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it helps somebody out. I hope this gives somebody some ambition to get out there and start welding. The world needs good welders, so get off your duff and get out there and learn how to weld. Appreciate you guys watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you on the next one. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got this all tacked up. Let's go ahead and strike an arc, see what this baby. And then I screwed in my 3/8 male, and I took a barbed female 3/8 MIP fitting and I shoved that in there. If you guys watch the channel, you know that I'm a